Welcome back to Beyond the Physical. I'm Michelle Greenwell with Be Well with Dr. Michelle Greenwell. And today we are going to journey together through the science and the spirit of energy medicine and bioenergetic wellness. As we do this, we're finishing off the third part of the trilogy, exploring what it means to live beyond the physical and to be empowered, aligned, and fully present in our daily lives. In our first episode, we were exploring the transformation through energy, the aha moments when people realize there's more to life than physical, and what we've been taught to believe is different when we look at it from the energy perspective. And in our second, we went to body maintenance. We went to living wellness, which is talking about sustaining daily practices that nourish vitality and build resiliency. Today, we're going to bring this around to a fabulous tool that transforms all of our lives when we learn it, and this is living with biofeedback skills. This is a conversation about how we can listen to the body's innate wisdom through the science of muscle monitoring and the art of biofeedback, bioenergetic feedback. And as I was saying art, there was that piece where some people will go, oh, it's an art. That's not science, but it is a science. And the link of the two, the art of it is the applications are limitless. And that's what we want you to know about today, is how we've been able to develop these skills and bring them forward, but also what the implications are when you have this. So joining me today are two beautiful ladies. We have Dr. Denise Cambiotti, founder of Muscle Tuners International, and we have I'll say Dr. Kate Montgomery, who is a naturopathic doctor and who has a wealth of knowledge in both the medical model as well as the energy model. And it's lovely to have both of you here. Thank you for all that you've been bringing to the conversations.
Great to be here in this company. There's nothing I can think of I would like to do more right now than to share this information with your listeners.
Thanks, Denise.
Thank you. Yes, it's always nice to finally be able to share what I have done for over 40 years and was so interesting way back when nobody really knew anything. So this is wonderful to bring it up to date.
Perfect. And it's when, as you say too, our careers have all been several decades. So 40 years of working with these materials have proven themselves over and over. And they've also grown and developed and inspired us to do different things with them. And so as people are listening, this isn't something that just, happened in the last couple of years. This is a deep, dark dive that we can take into all the possibilities. So before we get started, we need to get that tea online. So we brought in some herbs and we have our conversation energizing our audience and providing them with a healing session. So Kate, you and I were discussing before we hit the record button that you have been harvesting a lot of the herbs that are in the tea that I chose for today. So I'm curious what you have there, but also if you just want to share too some of the things that you've been harvesting that you're going to be offering as gifts to your family and friends.
Oh, for years now, it's probably the 5th year of my herb garden. And this year the weather has been extraordinary as far as a lot of rain for us. My lemon balm is insanely grow. And I have been making tinctures that I make as gifts and things for my family and friends. I have sage, what I call sage sticks that I put together for saging the house, but also you can take the sage leaves and use as a tea also. I have oregano and what else did I have? Dill. I harvested dill seeds. I have marigolds that are going crazy, so I harvested a ton of seeds for those for next year. But and the lavender, don't forget lavender. So I just got a lot of lavender, a lot of lavender, which I dry and I use the buds and I dry them, but I also use them for teas. So, and sachets and anything else that I can think of to make. But I love my herb garden. And found the bees, the bees. Oh, I'm a bee person, so I love to plant some things that the bees like and help help them live. So that's my also joy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And what tea have you created for today?
Well, I had a friend drop by the other day and she gave me a gift of tea. So I decided I'd try it. It's from another company and it's lemon myrtle though this time, not lemon balm, but lemon myrtle. And it's ginger and lemon myrtle with honey crystals. Oh, it's delicious. So
Mm,
I'm drinking that today and I have a different mug today. So here's my dragonfly mug
love it.
that I found in Estes Park, Colorado years ago. And so I love this mug. And I'm a dragonfly person and a bee person. And so I try to just propagate for them and put water out and everything. But anyway, this is my new mug. It's not new, but it's new for us today.
Beautiful. Thank you. So the dragonfly is a part of transformation. So as people are listening and opening up to the idea of what we're offering in conversation and ideas that they can bring into their own lives for daily self-care, that's an opportunity to be transforming while you're listening to this podcast. And then the next piece is you brought in the idea of ginger, which I've mentioned before in podcasts. So ginger is the opportunity to let go so you can receive. So if you have some beliefs around what is possible in health and wellness that you think have been serving you, but you're still not well, or you're still not feeling with the vitality what you want, then consider letting those ideas go so you can receive the ideas of what we're offering today and where you could be heading with your education and with your wellness practices. So thanks for bringing that forward. And lemon myrtle, that's just with the honey, it's like a mug, not a mug, a hug coming from your mug, but in that lemon just kind of wakes you up and ignites the senses. So beautiful. Denise, what have you got in your mug today?
In my mug gifted to me by a client, which I just love, it's with a strainer for the loose leaf stuff. She knows me. I'm having one of the Cape Breton teas from last year that I have saved specially, and I'm almost at the end of my package, the Year of the Green Dragon 2024. And I've never seen green tea put together with maple syrup, blueberries, apple pieces, the calendula, the safflower, the cornflower, the sunflower, rose petals, just brings it up a luxurious notch. And I just love it. It's so smooth, really smooth, tasty.
That's interesting because I haven't described it that way, but that is what it is. It is smooth when you sip on it. Yeah. I love looking at it because it's like looking at a bowl full of confetti almost, just with all the colors that are in there. Beautiful. And the affirmation on the package, have you got that?
Today we have bringing together the wood element. In our world, we know that's liver and gallbladder. Rain. Hello, I'm on the wet coast of Canada right now. East and yang energy. Confidence, luck, and special gifts result. So may that infuse our day.
Perfect. Perfect. And as we mix that with what I chose for today, so from the Cape Breton Tea Company, I have Golden Serenity. I'm looking down at my package. This one it's a green and black tea combination, which is a unique way of putting things together with turmeric and ginger. So Kate, we've got it twice there, lemon balm, and then the bale nut, cornflower petals, and the affirmation is soften the desire to push through. With confidence and an authentic self-love, welcome peace within. And so often we just say to our bodies, I need to get this done, so I'm just going to do it. We don't say, okay, body, I have to get this done. Is there a way that you could pull the energy together for me to make it happen? and I'd be happy to rest and relax when I'm finished. Something like that. We don't have a conversation like that. We just say, I'm going to just plow through because I want to get this done. And our body often responds in retaliation to that. So this is a way to just say, stop, find that peaceful place, get ready, and then move forward from there. So ladies, thank you and cheers.
Cheers.
My mug today, which now has lipstick on it, is a Dance Debut mug. Dance Debut is celebrating over 40 years as a company.
Wow.
That's where I started, and this is one of the original mugs. So,
Congratulations.
all right, let's dive in, and let's see what we can do with this. I should bring up two things about a couple of the ingredients so that they can come along for the ride. So lemon balm is something that's really supportive to the nervous system. And it is a great way to find that peace and relaxation. But it's combined here with turmeric, and that is reminding us of vitality and confidence and the ability to move forward in a calm way. But when you put the two together, the nervous system is calmed to move forward. Sometimes we move forward and we're pushing on it. I just wanted to bring that up as we dive into the next part, which is as we explore biofeedback and the idea of muscle monitoring. So Denise, I wanted to ask you first what it felt like the first time that you experienced muscle monitoring. Can you share that?
I don't know if I'm the poster girl for this, but the first time I experienced muscle monitoring was at a chiropractor's office where an assistant was assessing what we know in our world as the 14 key muscles. And I had this inner voice going, ooh, look at that. I'm strong when she tests this muscle in this position and this muscle in this position, but what the hell? And some of my muscles were unlocking, and I had this thing in my head going, come on, you could do better. You could do better. Come on. I was mystified because she wasn't pushing with pressure. It was just a gentle little push. All my other muscles were locked. What the heck was going on? And then when the chiropractor looked at the assessment, he took my history, said, oh, all your complaints are all connected. And I thought he was crazy because I had a headache and bad neck issue. Neck pain is what gets people going, like pain is what gets people looking for help. The headaches, why would I go talk to somebody about that? The doctor's just going to tell me take a pain reliever. I've been doing that for a year or more. Didn't actually help, but it makes it kind of go away for a few hours. Constipation, had it since I was a kid, and bladder infections. Well, I'm not having one right now. And if I do get one, I'll just take antibiotics. And he's saying all of my current challenges that I'd had over the last couple of years or my lifetime were all connected. And he did two little adjustments, and I felt this surge of vitality going through my body. And I knew instantly, I didn't know how I was going to make it happen, but I said to myself, this is what I want to do when I grow up. I'll never forget that flash of insight. So I said, hey, doc, how long does it take to learn all this? He says, well, to be a chiropractor, you got to do all your pre-med. And then there are all the courses after. He says, so 8 years. And then we still study pretty much every weekend, some course or another. And I'm going, really? Well, maybe not right now then. And eventually I found the layperson version. And a lot of people don't understand the word layperson. So it's just the average person. I was an administrative assistant at that time. I've had classes with other people. They have no science background, and yet they are learning how to do the muscle testing safely, effectively, and making profound changes in people's lives. And the vitality that went through my body, headaches gone, constipation gone, neck pain gone. The recurring bladder infections, I never had one, I think, for 7 years after that treatment. And it only came back because I did something to my tailbone. Who knew that that's connected? So from a position of feeling weak to the incredible vitality. I went through just a gamut of emotions in my first experience. And I've come to learn that muscle testing isn't about testing strength. It's really about testing how's the nervous system doing, checking into all these different areas of your body. And that's the prize and the value and the message I do my best to put out to the world is how else do you know? Because I was strong enough to lift a big bag of potatoes and do the gardening. We were doing landscaping. I was strong enough to do all that, but I had no idea. Some muscles weren't showing up. And because of that, I had pain.
Wow. And symptoms
Oh,
outside of structure and muscle. So that organ relationship, which comes
well,
with
that's the other piece. If we go there, I had no idea then that when he fixed this muscle, it helped my liver. When he worked with this other muscle to get it online, it helped my stomach. When he worked on this other muscle, it helped my immune system. That came after when I started studying and applying Touch for Health, which is that system that is available worldwide. It's taught hundreds of thousands of people. It was my introduction into the world of muscle monitoring. And I think it was for all of us, really.
Kate, do you want to share your story of that first time?
I can say ditto to Denise because I think going to a chiropractor for the first time and they are using muscle monitoring or muscle testing or however you want to describe this, and then seeing the instantaneous priorities that she went through to find out what was really going on. And that's what amazed me is how fast and how simple it was. And the results were wow. I remember that and saying also that I'm going to add this to what I do as a sports therapist because I knew that if I'm working on muscles, then I need to test them to find out if I can monitor them to make sure that everything is lined up through the structure and the nervous system and the muscle system so that my athletes would get the best uh, uh, treatment, but also that they could go out and race with everything in balance and recover much faster when I gave them self-care things to do. But the instantaneous thing for me was that I felt wonderful. It was amazing to me that I saw the results and my own little clock went off in my head. The little light bulb went off and said, oh, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And that's exactly what I did do. You know, I went to my first Touch for Health class or conference in San Diego and knew this is my home. I'm home. This is where I'm supposed to be. And it became the next piece of the pie, as I always say, to add to my toolbox. And I use it every single day to align myself and get me going for the day. So it's the most amazing tool and everybody should have it. Everybody should know this.
And I think that's what everybody says who's taken a Touch for Health class is everyone should know this, which is, I mean, that's how it was set up so that people could have it in their home, family and friends could work with it. I remember signing up for my level 1 class, not really knowing what I was getting myself into, just knowing I needed to do it. And in that process of learning how to do that muscle test, checking in on the anterior deltoid, that nice little muscle right here at the top of the arm, and that you could turn the muscle off and the arm would drop and shut off. And then you could turn the muscle back on and it would hold. And, you know, we were laughing because it was like, how is this even possible that we could do this? A muscle just works. There was no knowledge that muscles would be turning on and off. Anyway, we came home and had my husband stand. I took the class with a girlfriend and we had my husband stand there and we tested him over and over and we were on the floor laughing. We're like, look what we can do. And my husband was just staring at us because he was trying to comprehend how could his strong muscle not function. and he certainly wasn't going to say anything about it. But it just, the power of that knowledge, and then where it could take us. And it's just so delightful to, like you were saying, Denise, to be able to rub a point on the body, the muscle turns on, and no pain to walk up the stairs. Like, how delightful is that? Instead of, oh, there's the stairs, let me gear myself up for making that walk, and I know it's going to hurt. And then it doesn't, because the muscles are all turned back on. It's just so beautiful. All right, so that's a little bit about the introduction, and we've talked around some words. So we have biofeedback, learning things about the body by the way it gives us messaging. Muscle monitoring. So there's a couple ways that it's been phrased. So muscle testing is what came out of physiotherapy and some of the chiropractic work, checking the strength of a muscle. But we're not checking the strength, as Denise said, we're checking for the integrity, is what's happening in the nervous system, and the nervous system gives us feedback. So we use the phrase muscle monitoring to differentiate between those two so that people have an idea of what it is we're looking for. And I just wanted to bring that little bit forward. Denise, do you want to share a little bit about Anne Jensen's work at Oxford University? And she calls it muscle response testing because that's the phrase they wanted her to hold on to. Do you want to share some of that?
Well, Anne Jensen is just blazing a trail for creating validity for the work that we all do. And she had to set up some of her studies in a way that the university would accept and say, okay, you can study that, right? Because how do you set up a study for something like this that can be replicated? And she proved the validity of muscle testing. In fact, what is it? She's done at least 6 separate studies and published them in at least 6 different journals with consistent results. So she's just amazing in having provided actual scientific, university-backed research. It doesn't really flow into the work I do so directly when I train muscle tuner specialists. However, it's sure nice to stand on her shoulders and say there's validity, in addition to the validity of studies that have been put together by chiropractors. But a lot of theirs are abstracts and case studies that show consistently when you do X, Y happens. And I've had the very great pleasure of studying with Dr. Charles Krebs, who has not 1, but 4 degrees in anything from gerontology to physical body, and I think something in astronomy. Like, the guy's just brainiac. And his story was he had a catastrophic incident when he was in his early 30s, and he became quadriplegic. And he experienced some radical intervention through the grace of the universe aligning things, that he could be put in a hyperbaric chamber, which was unknown way back then, to help a medicine given to him to work on his spinal cord, maybe have some effect. And it was the longest exposure to hyperbaric chamber on record. And he came out of that with some ability to move. And he spent 2 years recovering, and he worked his butt off. And part of his recovery was he had what we call a photographic memory, and he used to teach anatomy and physiology at a university setting. And he could say, okay, today I want to be able to flex my ankle or my toe. And he would see all the circuits in his head. And he was also had studied martial arts before that. So he imagined the energy of chi going from his brain along the pathway he would have to take to go talk to his toe. And he would just do that day after day after day for hours a day until his toe could move. And then it was another muscle and another muscle. And he persisted. So at 2 years, he really wasn't progressing any further. And the neurologist said, Charles, that's it. This is as good as you're going to get. I mean, we have no evidence that you're going to get better, after 2 years. But a friend came along. He says, hey, there's this guy in town, and I booked you an appointment next Tuesday at 2:00. Just be there. So Charles walks into this room, and he gets muscles assessed. And yeah, he hasn't got an iota of strength in all these different limbs. And they're rubbing points and saying, oh, that muscle's weak, this muscle's now strong. And he's experiencing what I experienced. Well, what the heck just happened? And they said, get up and go across the room, come back. And he wasn't dragging his leg anymore within an hour. So much repattern. And he got himself to, that was Tuesday. On a Friday, he found a Touch for Health class because he's going, why, what's happening? This is like, I'm a scientist. Why is this happening? And no one could explain it to him. And throughout all his Touch for Health training, nobody could explain to it. And he researched where in the brainstem and the nuclei where signals go in, and then if there's a block there, why the output isn't going out. So there is science behind it. And all I know is I'm sorry for people who think that magic's a bad thing, because there are some people out there. But the thing is magic is usually just something that's happening because you don't have an explanation for it yet. But the marvel, when I see somebody else's eyeballs open up like mine did, and they go, how did you do that? And you go, feels magical, but it's based on science. And they just thought, yeah. So I'll stop talking now about the science of it. But also, we talked about chiropractors earlier, and I'll have to say, not all chiropractors muscle test. Yeah. And when I moved to a new location, away, far, far, far away from my original guy, I went to chiropractors who did not do muscle testing, and I wasn't getting any results. And they're going, okay, well, I want to see you every week for 6 weeks, and maybe we'll get this thing resolved and we'll reassess it then. And I'm going, wait a minute, no, fix it now. And so that's where I really saw the difference between somebody who's trained, especially if they have background like a chiropractor, like a physiotherapist, like a fitness trainer, like a sports massage person, any massage person who understands how the body goes. They can take this knowledge and move it so much further than the average secretary. And I've been told not to use that word, but that's, my early 40 years ago, that's what I was. What did I know about the body? All I knew is there was a system that worked. And I wish more people in the wellness industry would know about this, because they could give results to their clients, their patients, so much faster. And they would have so much more satisfaction that they're not working on the same old issue every single time that client comes in. And then that client will turn into a referral bunny and say, this guy fixed this thing and I wanted 2 visits, and I've been going and doing all this other stuff and it wasn't working. Sorry, I get that funny little dramatic voice. It can be annoying. That's where Kate and I had a conversation, is why don't more people know about this? And that's where I went, let's go talk to my friend Michelle. We need to put this out on a podcast.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, Denise. Wow. Yes. Yes.
It's just so remarkable when you think of how much time is spent in trying techniques and it's not working, or it works for a bit but doesn't hold for very long, and then you're back at the same place. And how quickly, one, you can have changes, but two, how you can start to figure out the patterns that are leading you back to that old stuff and get rid of them. So Kate, let's shift over then in the conversation to the idea of how we can prioritize for healing and what that means when we're using this biofeedback. You want to share some of that?
When someone comes to you they always seem to have a list of symptoms, or I have this issue and I have that issue. And my thing is, well, let's start from ground zero with a technique that I learned. And you may never have had this done to you before, but I'm going to check in and find the priority balance that you need in order to start unweaving all these symptoms. And they lay on my table, and I go through a whole routine of muscle monitoring and testing and seeing what the body tells me. And when I start rubbing points after a while, I do a whole thing and then I don't fix anything at first, but I find out where they are. And usually when somebody comes, their stress factor is a 10 because they're so frustrated with the symptoms that they've tried everything. And I mean everything. Having been in the medical model, and then now I'm in this one, it's like I know what they've been through without success. And they are worse, actually, than when they started. So you want to try to reassure them that it's going to be okay. I always find them switched, meaning that the stress factor has taken the brain, instead of being crossed, it's in homolateral, meaning that their brain is in a confused state that they don't know which way is right and which way is left. So we undo that. We reset the heart so that the heart can function better. And that's the only thing I fix. And then I go through the whole thing, finding out what next has to be done. And they're always amazed. I mean, the look on their face is like, oh, I can hold my leg now. I couldn't hold it before. I can hold my arm. I couldn't do that before. My core muscles are so weak. I mean, I'd look at quadratus lumborum, and then I would do psoas, and I would do diaphragm. Oh, and breathing. Oh, that's a big one because they're always in their chest. Switching and stress, it's in the chest. They don't know how to breathe from the belly. And we have to retrain that because I have to reset everything in order to get them so that the energy flows up and down the body. Um, it's I love the look on their face after I'm done, or they get up off the table and they go, I don't have any pain. I don't remember why I came. Are we done? And I said, well, probably not totally, but I think we've got a good start going. And again, it's why doesn't everyone know this? Because when somebody tries everything, and I mean from the physical therapy to the osteopath through the medical drugs and you name it, it goes on, and yet that person hasn't it hasn't been dented. And if anything, as the body goes farther and farther out of balance, then those symptoms mount. And you just have to unwind them, but it doesn't usually take that long. As in stories that we told in the last um, podcast, it's like it's always great to see somebody win a race as they rubbed a point, or their body rehabilitates itself and they don't even remember why they even had it. I think that's the biggest thing that is so amazing. And I cry. I actually cry. I've been on stage and I cry. And so does the audience because you see somebody who has suffered so much and then all of a sudden it's gone, literally immediately. And I saw that with my carpal tunnel programs. But it's like if it's that simple, why isn't everyone else doing this? Because you can help yourself, you help your family, you help your friends, and it goes on and on. And you just keep it moving. Just keep it moving till the neighbors know it and the whole street knows it and the community knows it. And then everybody is much healthier and their well-being is there. It's just stable and balanced.
Mhm, mhm. One of the, well, there's a couple of ways that we check in with the body to find out a priority. And very often people, the very first thing that they're going to try to fix is nutrition. They're going to say, I should be eating better. I need to cut out the sugar. I need to, eat more greens. And sometimes the fixes aren't in nutrition. The priority is somewhere else. It might be in emotions, could be thought patterns. You have some thought pattern in the back of your head that somebody said to you once upon a time, you will never amount to anything as a whatever. And you've held on to that and it's continued to play. And you don't realize that's the whole thing that's holding you back. And then you can fix from that space. And then all of a sudden, nutrition is different because you actually stop going to the things that aren't supporting you. You start adding those things in, but without any effort. But if you tried to go from nutrition, you would have missed that component, and that recording would have still been playing, and you're trying really hard to eat well. Well, we all know how that happens because it just takes one dinner out and dessert that you shouldn't have had, and then the snowball goes. So it's a great opportunity to think differently about the way you want to approach things.
Yes.
Okay, so we can prioritize with our biofeedback. We can have new ways of looking at things. We can look at things we never thought were even a part of what we needed to address. So let's talk about then, Kate, you have written the book about the carpal tunnel syndrome, and that well, first of all, it's given a title. And the title really is, it's about an ailment that the hand is not working the way you want it to work. That's basically it. But what you've discovered is it's not so much a surgical procedure that solves the problem as much as bringing those muscles on. And this is where the biofeedback and the muscle monitoring is so important. Can you tell us about how you walk through that discovery of what muscles are working and how you're going to address that?
Yeah. The discovery is interesting because I was a sports massage therapist. And this is in the early 90s, when that decade of the 90s was carpal tunnel syndrome. I mean, it became the disease of the 90s. And the orthopedics made it into a disease instead of a disorder, and a genetic one at that, according to their convention back in 2007, which I found funny. But anyway,
Mhm.
so in the early 90s, before I wrote the book, I remember every athlete I worked on, everybody has hands, but they had to have strong hands, in order to pole vault and hold the stick, and to throw a ball, and to do anything. They have hands. I would take what I had learned in muscle testing, and I would test these two fingers. And I would figure out that, okay, if these don't hold, there's no conductivity there, the monitoring. So then that means that somewhere back up this arm, there is a link that's broken. So when I look at things, it's looking at structure, bones, I look at muscles, and I look at nerves. And if the structure is out of balance, which I determined that it was the elbow joint. The elbow joint in that alignment is the only joint that's a hinge. It's a two-joint joint, and it moves constantly. It doesn't stay straight down at your side, so it's never neutral, and it's always at a 90-degree angle or carrying something with a load on it or something, but it always changes. But then you look at the muscles and tendons that attach to the joints of the elbow that go all the way down to the wrist and into the hand. But if my elbow's out of alignment, then my wrist is out of alignment. And that means that the volar carpal ligament is on a splay. It's stretched across because the radius and the ulnar bones are out there too, because the elbow's out. And once you put the elbow back into alignment, you can stretch and sit up straight with posture, and then do the elbow, and then do the wrist, and open up the finger joints. And guess what? You have grip again. You have blood flow again. And I saw that happen on stage so many times with someone who has had 5 carpal tunnel surgeries in the wrist. And she just started crying because it was so simple to watch the blood flow on stage, and you could see the redness in the arm. And she was free of pain. And you heard her as she did her own 12-step program that I designed. And the popping of the elbow joint in two directions was loud. And she felt it, and then it was gone. No pain. And you watch blood. That is the most amazing gift that I feel that what I created in that system helped so many people get it so you didn't have surgery. And if you did have surgery, it fixed it too, because all they do is cut a ligament. They cut the ligament, it grows back. You have scar tissue now, but you still have your elbow out of alignment and you still have your wrist out of alignment, and it hasn't changed one thing. So it's still that no matter what, even if you've had surgery in the elbow or the shoulder, everything is able to rebalance. No matter who does it, you just muscle monitor, you look at what muscles need to be worked on. And once we get structure and nerves conductivity back in, and then you use massage to work on the muscles, you rub points, and wham, those muscles are strong, those tendons are strong. Then you can strengthen using light weights or whatever you want to do. But there's a whole pattern and procedural protocol to do this. And I am so grateful that I was given the insight to write that book, because I never thought I would write that book. But it was such a necessity to do it because of what was happening at that time. And I remember going on TV in a local it was a local San Diego talk show, and I was showing Bill and Laura how to do my 12 steps. And what was funny about it was that the cameramen were up above us looking down. And as I was doing it, I looked up and they're all going like this. They're all doing their arms. And I'm on air and I'm laughing. And I started saying, well, it looks like everybody in the room is doing it, you know. And you could hear everybody's elbows popping because they carry these, in those days, carry giant cameras. And then Bill and Laura were doing it, and it was the funniest show because it all worked. And then after the show, everybody was talking. I got more phone calls than I think of, but it's so gratifying to see that what we do works instantaneously. And I want people to understand that there is a whole science out there that legitimizes this. If you go and get a picture of a skeleton, this is how it's supposed to line up. And if you go and get a picture of a graphic of a muscles, it's where they're supposed to line up too. What Denise brought up was very interesting. Not every chiropractor does applied kinesiology, muscle monitoring. They don't do it. So I always stated in my books, you want to go to somebody that does applied kinesiology, clinical kinesiology, somebody that can adjust the muscles, turn them back on to hold the structure in place. If you don't do that, as soon as you get off that table and you walk out, 20 minutes later, you are out of alignment again because those muscles were not addressed. That's a really important factor to say. It isn't just that, you know, what we do, it's like you need to know the sequence of how it all works so that it will hold in place and that nothing goes backwards.
Mhm.
So invest in looking. And I have to say, it's hard to find somebody that does this too. I've traveled a lot and I don't always find what I need, but I'm so glad I know the techniques so that I can take care of myself. And that's the clue right there, is that everybody needs to know this stuff so that they don't get stuck somewhere and can't get the help that they need. But
Mhm.
I love this stuff. Love it. And I've been doing it a really long time. So I trust my intuitive, I trust everything so that I get the right answers. And my body tells me, listen, listen, listen. That's all you got to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Michelle, I just have to jump right in. Sorry, you're not allowed to be a moderator right now.
No, do it.
Um, so I hear Kate saying, "Oh, you've got to adjust the elbow. You got to line the elbow," and that sounds so like chiropractic light. The, the magic piece, people, in case you haven't made the leap yet, is that muscles attached through their tendon to a bone. And when you get muscles firing and you get muscles on opposing sides of the body both firing, then bones can line up very naturally because there isn't too strong of a pull on one side and somebody's checked right out on the other side. So this is why anybody can do this safely. And I want to jump on to something Kate was saying about the carpal tunnel issue with the wrist, that she's tracking it back to muscles in here. And, I had the opposite thing after I had a catastrophic accident and I needed a shoulder repair done. And they're going, "You don't need physiotherapy. It'll get better in a couple of years." And, just whatever. And I'm going, "A couple of years? I'm a muscle tuner specialist. I won't stand for this." And I decided, I had to be humbled. Yeah, I can get range of motion back to everything. And everybody was stunned. The doctor, the naturopath, physio, like everybody. I wasn't seeing a physiotherapist, but I was seeing a naturopath and a chiro, and my surgeon and my medical doctor are going, "Holy cow, Batman." But there wasn't enough strength there. So I'm going, I have to do my own activities to build up the strength. Because they're saying, "Don't go to physio." I'm going, okay. So I decided I'm going to unload the dishwasher, pull the plates out, put them up on the shelf right above the dishwasher. Well, I had massive shoulder pain. One day I'm working on Zoom and I'm assessing people. You can even assess people saying, "How does this feel? How does that feel?" And we can, through bioenergetics, we can even say, "I want to check into your biofield." And I'm noticing somebody's elbow muscle and wrist muscle wasn't working. And I'm going, "Well, let's fix that." So I'm checking it on myself. And this side was fine. This side was not. And it's a muscle assessment about the wrist being able to do this movement, and also about what happens up in the elbow for that to happen. And I'm going, "Well, it works on this side. It's not working on that side." So I gave myself a correction as I'm coaching this person on Zoom. And instantly I had that expression, Kate, that experience. The pain in my shoulder dropped 100%. And I went, oh, there's book learning and then there's knowing. Because if this isn't working and this isn't working, but my body says she's trying to get that plate up on the shelf and not upside down, what's the next thing that has to do the rotation? And it's not built to do this. So, yeah. Also, just this morning, I was doing a workout and there was a new activity, and I went, oh my goodness. And because of my training, I knew instantly something I could do that would take the stress out of that. So I was doing HIIT, high intensity interval training, where you work like a crazy bunny for a minute and you rest for a minute. So during the rest phase, I'm rubbing these points just for about, okay, what am I? Oh, you know what? So about 40 seconds of rubbing, I went back and I'm doing the activity, and the pain's no longer there. But what's more important is now that that muscle switched on, it will actually tone. So how many people go to the gym, they do their workouts, or they had an injury and they go for the rehabilitation and they do the activities. They've got the soup cans, they've got the light weights at home, and they're very compliant. They are doing the activities and they're not getting anywhere. It's because the muscles have switched off for some reason. So like with my elbow and my wrist, when you switch them on, all of a sudden, it's not difficult to do this activity anymore. And the same thing for my activity this morning when we went back to that exercise. My body, was effortlessly doing the exercise. And so that's another message I want to get out there. And I know that Kate and I come from a very physical background, because it's so cool to have people's eyeballs measurable, say there's measurable change. What the heck just happened? But this happens, as you alluded to, without saying out loud, Michelle, is the issue on the physical level? Or is it on the nutritional level where people go, well, I should cut out the alcohol and the sugar, and I should probably take a few vitamins? Or is it on the mental level? Is it something in our head that has this repetitive pattern? Is it something on an emotional level? Emotions block energy in the body. And I cannot tell you how many people have unfrozen a shoulder or something by addressing it's like, oh, and just yesterday on a online program we were teaching, there was a woman who said, I had no idea that was the emotion that was trapped there. And poof, heart palpitations gone. Last week when we did this episode, she had pain between her shoulder blades she couldn't get rid of no matter what she did. Somebody said, I perhaps it's an emotion. Perhaps it would be this, because I'm co-hosting something with somebody very intuitive. And that woman, that was at the very end of the event, she came back this week and she went, as soon as I hung up the Zoom link, I went walking around a little bit. I couldn't even find it anymore, just by having the awareness that, is this emotion trapped in your body? Do you want to keep it? You can let go of it. It can be that fast. So yes, and people who have come to Touch for Health, there are many scientists and other people like geologists who use muscle testing. There are, like, think of there's psychologists who use it. Think of anybody in just about any field, and they have found an application for using muscle testing to assess, find out what's the imbalance. And this is the key, to identify how to neutralize the imbalance. And whether that's on the emotional level, mental level, chemical, nutritional level, or the structural. So that's it. That's my message. That's why it's so brilliant to learn this. Go to somebody who's trained to do it well. And even if they've just taken the one introductory weekend workshop, miracles can still happen. And tell them you've got to keep learning and do more. That your community needs you. And more importantly is when you learn how to do some of these things for yourself, so you don't pull a groin muscle like I almost did this morning. Why don't you learn it?
Mm-hmm. It is, it's just such a game changer for how your day goes, the cues that you listen to from your body. I have had a frozen shoulder, and I have done many things to release the layers. And I've discovered all kinds of little secrets about mental thought patterns that were there, emotions that got stuck. And as each layer has come off and I've been able to gain back that mobility and turn those muscles back on, it's just been such a game changer of, rather than saying I have a frozen shoulder, I've got a shoulder that's teaching me a lot of information about myself, of things that I had ignored before, and now I can actually pay attention. And as it unravels and it gets to that place of full function again, it's so delightful to notice the rotation of the hand, the elbow, the shoulder, and how it's all coming together and working as one. So for those people that are listening and they have those ailments that they might have been ignoring and they're just living with, or they've tried some different techniques and tools that have not worked, then this might be a way for you to start to think about, I'd like to know how to do this. I'd like to know how to do it for myself or for my family members, be able to help others. There's nothing better than coming from my Tai Chi class where people have different challenges with family members that they come in, and we'll add them to the circle for Tai Chi, and the energy we create in the class we offer out to anybody else that would need some assistance. But it empowers the people in the class to know that they can do these kinds of techniques and support the family members rather than watching them suffer or standing by and feeling helpless, and feeling disenfranchised by the lack of opportunity to find the answers they're looking for. All right, so we've all commented how we use these tools every day. So let's pull a couple of them that are kind of our favorites and show people how we implement these things. Denise, do you want to start?
Well, we all have stress, and stress can shut down your brain integration. I teach this to everybody. It's the very first thing basically we learn after testing a muscle in the Touch for Health class. It's the first thing we learn, and we're told just do it because you got to do it to get accurate information later when you assess the body. And so in the past, it was like, I would honor it. Let's just check our brain buttons. Let's switch them on, because otherwise your testing is inaccurate. And I've seen this where somebody will say the pain is over here and everybody's doing the therapy over here. But if your brain, as Kate mentioned, isn't really connected, sometimes doing what I'm going to show you says it's not where the problem is. All of a sudden the pain went over here. Like it's like magic, but it's just neurology. Is once you get the wiring going properly, the brain is able to report accurately. And as a muscle tuner specialist, where I teach this to my facilitators who teach others, one woman shrieked at a demonstration, and my facilitator said, "What did you notice?" And she said, "My peripheral vision just came back."
Wow.
For her, she'd had an injury that for some reason the switch went off, and it wasn't like a neurological trauma. It was just a switch was switched off. We turned it on again. So this is what I teach everybody. You turn on your biocomputer. We're talking about bioenergy here. You turn it on by holding a hand over your navel. Very simply, that's it. And with a thumb and two fingers, find the inner edges of your collarbone and come down so you feel a bit of muscle. You're not on bones. Right below the inner edges of the collarbone. And when you rub these points, absolute, right, incredible things are happening physically, even though this is so simple. This is encouraging the right and left brain to send messages across the tracks that connect the left and right brain. And it's always nice to switch hands. Remember to keep the other hand on the navel. It's just polite. There's physical reasons on science for this. Don't care. And if you only want to do with one hand, that's fine. And then let's get the messages going from the brainstem up to the cortical part of the brain that processes everything. Simple. There's a point below your lower lip and there's a point above your upper lip. So just take a couple fingers, your thumb again, and rub side to side. And yes, it feels odd if you've never done it before. And you breathe. You might want to do that for about 10 seconds there. Switch hands, about 10 seconds there. You have just opened up neural pathways in your brain in the up and down direction. Now that leaves front back. So keep your hand on your navel and gently activate by your tailbone, not on the tip of your tailbone, just like that at the base of your sacrum. And switch and do the other side. Now, I made a mistake. That's okay. Just notice, does your vitality increase even if you didn't measure it before we started? Has any pain in your body decreased even though we didn't measure anything? If you take a measurement before and you take a measurement after, I have never had anybody say nothing changed. Some people's pain 100% disappear. many people pain disappears by at least 50%. And some, and it depends how severe the pain is and all that. But I have developed a huge appreciation for this daily self-care. And the benefit of this is now I can do work, stay focused, have concentration, be integrated, make decisions. And so now I have time to go play because I'm not sitting here struggling with something all day because my brain's not hooking into it. That's my piece. It's so simple. It's so powerful. Teach it to your kids so they do better at school. Do it before you study. Do it before you give a presentation. Do it every morning, just because when you get up, set yourself up for success, that you start a task, you can finish the task. It's endless how positive this will be for you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Denise. And I love this tool. And when I first learned it, before I went into the dance studio, and I was waiting for the kids to get in the car after school, that was when I had a series of things that I did, but the switches were so important, and I always engaged them first. And it allowed me the confidence to go into the studio to do the work that I needed to do and be really creative. And so that change of perspective also came with the tool. So yeah, thank you. Kate, what would you like to share?
Hmm. Well, that is part of my 2-minute energy balance, Denise. So in my Sports Touch book, I run through the 2-minute energy balance with those. Breathing is a big part of it. Doing diaphragmatic breathing, if you can sit as you get up in the morning and put your hand on your navel and take deep breaths, feel the belly rise and feel the air come all the way up, feel your shoulders rise and your neck flexors and extensors extend. That's a full deep breath. And you should do that just to get oxygenation, get the blood flow going, and you'll feel clearer in your head. One of the other things that in classes that I've got, I want to find out what the brain is doing. So when we look at brain buttons, a lot of people are switched, due to an accident, due to extreme stress, anything. And I may have mentioned this before, but I was in a class and I was teaching up in Oregon, and this young woman had had a very bad car accident 5 years earlier, and she was healed from the physical injuries, but she said, I don't feel right. I know something's wrong, but everybody says I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. But we put her on the table. Well, actually, we had everybody in a circle, and I start my classes with march in place. Because in marching, you are cross crawling. But she didn't cross crawl. She went into homolateral patterning, which is left, left, right, right, just automatic. And I said, oh, guess who? So we put her on the table, and I rubbed the brain buttons for switching. Did that, did the 2-minute energy balance on her, and that was it. And I said, now get up, and I want you to march in place. And she immediately went into cross crawl.
Let me
And
Which
demonstrate that so people understand. You're saying she was doing this
yeah,
while you're teaching the class to
yes,
do this.
right. But I don't tell them how to do it. I don't tell
Ah,
them.
you
I
say
just
march
I
or
just
just
say march in place. And I want to see what their brain is saying to them if they can comprehend what that means. And so a lot of people will start with barely moving their knees up, not even swinging their arms. And those are the things you look at. So when you see stuff like that, then you know that they're switched. It's an automatic. But this woman went straight into homolateral patterning. And so by rubbing the brain buttons for switching and the 2-minute energy balance, she got up and just wham, went right into it. And everybody saw it. It was very dramatic. And that was a very key thing to show, because you get a lot of people like that. I do this with every single one of my clients, and I ask them, even if it's on the phone or we're Zooming, I said, I just want you to march in place. I want to see if you can understand what that means. most people know if they're really stressed. So if that happens to them, then you know where their brain really is, which will then affect how the body moves and how it moves through life and how long it takes. When you're switched, it takes you seconds longer to make a decision. You are not as sharp as you could be. We can call that dementia even, or am I getting there? Well, no, you may not be, but you might be switched. So if you correct these things, then that fog goes away. And that's what's really important about the brain button one, is that it can get rid of so many things and clear up that fog that's been holding you back from making a decision clearly. The other thing that I like to do is the neurolymphatic reflex points and the neurovasculars, because this is what I taught my athletes. How do you run a race and rub points? Well, they did. And they recovered really fast by specific ones for the quadriceps, for the psoas, and for the diaphragm. That's all they had to do for the whole race. And to feel their muscles when they came in was extraordinary. Tired, but simple to massage, squishy muscles, blood filled, but no pain, no pain. Going dancing. Okay, bye. See you later. You can rub neurolymphatic reflex points every morning to get your lymph system moving, to get your muscles moving, but get your organs to detoxify at the same time. That's the important thing. And then once you do the cleansing, hold your head for the neurovasculars. You don't have to be specific, like the books say, do this, do that, but just hold the areas of where they are and breathe into it and just feel that go. And you can do this very quickly. I've muscle tested this really fast to find out how quickly can you do this. Well, I did, and it works instantaneously. So take the time to do these simple things and it will get you moving faster in the morning. But simple things. Again, I said, if you send me an email, I'll send you a chart for the neurovascular, for the neurolymphatics, vasculars, two of you want that, and for the carpal tunnel thing. So very easy stuff to do.
So if you're trying to reach Kate, it'll be katemontgomery@me.com. So then you can send her a message. And the neurolymphatics that she's mentioning are, I've got my microphone there, but you're just rubbing along the ribs. You're rubbing along the sternum, along the collarbone. You come out to the edge of the shoulders, come down the arm a little bit. You've got under the ribs. You've got your spine.
Excuse me, that's neurolymphatics.
Neurolymphatics, what did I say?
Neurovasculars.
Oh, sorry. Neurolymphatics, thank you. That's what I meant. And down the spine, being able to rub up and down along the spine, and also at the bottom of the spine, across the sacrum. And you can go up and down the legs as well on the outside edge and the inside edge of the upper leg. Those rubs are very valuable. And in the previous episode, we did talk about the value of that for distribution of water. And so you can go back to that episode and check that out. And then the second, yeah.
I want to say one last thing. So when you rub points, this is not a soft rub. This is a deep therapeutic rub. So you rub with firmness. Show Denise. Rub firmly, you're not just swishing over a muscle. You're rubbing hard because you want to see some changes made. If you do something soft, that's like if I had an injury to my finger, I would lightly do this. But if I have to see something change in the muscles, I'm going to rub firmly, not so you hurt yourself, but or cause a bruise, but you rub firm. So, otherwise, you won't get the direct effect when you do it.
And then Kate mentioned the neurovascular holding points on the head. So those are catching the electrical in your hand, connecting in, and that's an electrical rewiring. That has been so valuable when I use that, and I like to use it with a foot sensor exercise that I do, massaging the feet on the floor in different movement patterns. And if I put those two together, oh my gosh, it's like going for a massage, but I didn't have to do that. I could just quickly run it through, and all I'm doing is holding those points. So if you're interested in some of those corrections and you're thinking about it, I'm just thinking on my YouTube channel, under the Tai Chi Wellness playlist, you'll see lots of things come up there. And the foot sensors, you'll see it's in the cards playlist for a card deck that we created. And the neurovascular points are also there if you want to look that up. So there's a resource for you. And I wanted to share what I love to do every day. And I was thinking about this last little bit because of the frozen shoulder issue. There was a lot of shooting pain that was coming down the arm. And one of the best ways I had for eliminating that pain was to trace the energy lines. And as soon as I did that, and in the case of my arm, I actually determined that I only needed to do lung and large intestine, so thumb and pointer finger. So a sweep out to the thumb and a pointer finger coming back, and then it just comes across the face. And if I trace that, pain gone. So the meridians are something that I love to do. And sometimes when I'm kind of restless, so that restless leg kind of syndrome that people talk about when they get into bed, or sometimes I get into bed and it's like there's so much energy, and it's kind of like zapping down my body, and I can't relax to go to sleep. Then I will trace the meridians, and that just calms the whole electrical system down. And I could do that on this, but I would say when you go to the Tai Chi Wellness playlist on my YouTube channel, there are 4 videos there about the meridians. That's going to give you a better explanation than I can put here. But what I will share is central governing the first 2, because those ones, sometimes they're my best corrections in a quick thing every day. So it's tracing up the front, pubic bone to the bottom lip. And then I like to take my fingertips down the center of the body, connect it up.
Not the center.
Center side. Center side.
Okay. The outsides.
Yep. And then coming to the tailbone, over top of the head to the top lip, and then take the fingertips again, back down and through the center. So we're going up, down, over the top, and then take it back again. And I'll do that sweep 3 times. And I find for me, that's just such a calming way. And then if I sit down at my desk, I'm like together, ready to think about what I want to do. And if I've matched it up with the switches, then I know I've got that brain integration happening. Yeah. Beautiful. So you can see by the examples we've given, they're not hard things to do. They take seconds in some case, or maybe a minute or 2 to accomplish. But the patterning of having that available, when I crawl into bed, if I'm zapping around, my husband, he'll just turn the light on and keep reading. That's what he'll do to solve it. And he might read for 2 or 3 hours, and then he's going to be tired in the morning. Me, I trace the meridians and I'm fast asleep. Sometimes I don't even finish all the meridians because I'm already so relaxed and out. That's a big difference in the way that we're approaching things and the way that we can provide self-care. Okay, we've made it to the bottom of Beyond the Physical and our journey through. We have the biofeedback is a bridge that helps us come between science and spirit, between knowing and feeling. And it reminds us that wellness isn't something that we're going to chase. It's something we live through with awareness. We bring in intention and connection. If you missed the 2 episodes ahead of us in some of these explanations we talked about today, the experience of wellness and body maintenance, living wellness, those 2 you can listen to. You can go to the YouTube channel. You can go to any of the podcast platforms to find Be Well with Dr. Michelle Greenwell. And we encourage you to go back, really listen and take some notes, apply some of these pieces. Maybe listen to part of the podcast, take some of the information and then go work with it, play around with it, see what it does for you. And then if there's something there that you want to learn more about, please contact one of us, because Kate has offered to send you information and be able to make that initial connection. If you're looking at some training, Denise does the Touch for Health, but also muscle tuners. And that's a whole system that can have you ready to go easily. If you're a massage therapist, physiotherapist, osteopath, some of the tools Denise has there, it's going to completely change how you work with your clients and the results that you're going to get based on those prioritizing things that we've talked about today. And those tools are changing the amount of effort that you're putting in with your clients and the amount of effort that comes out of them after that to be able to do what they want to do. And that is outstanding in how it can really change and the effectiveness of what we're able to do. If you're looking for a Touch for Health class from me, or you want to do something movement based, then I've got my online Tai Chi classes, which are all embedded with the Touch for Health material. And everything is in there, as well as the bioenergetic wellness formula that we've talked about as well. Whew. A lot of information and a lot of resources for the people listening. Thank you, ladies, for what you're doing, what you've done for decades, for the amount of people that you have influenced and impacted because of your passion for helping others. And I so appreciate the writing that you've done to publish, because that is not an easy task to get the word out. And also the development of the programs that you've done, because without those programs, people would not be able to put the protocols together to really find the effective means. So thank you both so much for what you've brought to this. Awesome. All right, let's have one more sip. Congratulations to our audience for hanging in there, all three. Not all three people listening, but all three of the episodes. And we look forward to some more conversations. So stay tuned, because we know this is just the start of what we're trying to bring forward for people. And we know that as we discovered Touch for Health and it changed our lives, we know that your lives can be changed too. Be well, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.